How to stop late rental payments. One of the reasons investors turn to buying real estate is the fact it provides such a good income stream. Having the ability to generate a weekly rental income, which is paid monthly, has been one of the key drivers to buying an investment property. The better your tenant, the better your investment experience. If we hold the property long enough, we'll also be rewarded with capital growth. However, on the immediate basis, the income is quite important. The rent can be used to service a loan, which may have been used to acquire the property. It may also be used to pay other debts, or it could potentially generate a rental income stream or provide other cash flow benefits. Unfortunately, with all investments, there is risk. With real estate, the risk of selecting a bad tenant can be truly a miserable experience and a costly one at that. However, even the best tenant can have a life event that could change your experience and your investment property. The tenant may lose their job, fall sick, or perhaps even have a relationship breakup. Other times it's simply a case of a bad tenant selection or not being clear about your own expectations. How to stop late rental payments. Here, we provide some useful tips that will help you reduce the chances of any late payments. Number 1, employ a property manager. Don't try to manage a lease on your own. It can be onerous, time-consuming, and plain crazy. A property manager can do the due diligence on a proposed tenant. They'll also ask the right questions, obtain evidence, and play an important role in meeting your best interests. Number 2, organise a direct debit. Some tenants often ask to pay the rent manually, so they control paying the rent at any given time. A good tenant will appreciate a monthly direct debit will ensure they don't have any late payments themselves. Number 3, review the tenant's financial position. Make sure your tenant can afford paying rent. If they are in between jobs, make sure to obtain feedback from their employers. Ask what has been led to that change. If they are unemployed or have low funds, take this as a potential sign that they may not be able to pay the rent. Number 4, sign a lease agreement. A lease agreement will set the expectations and standards. It will record the rental amount, the rental frequency, and any due dates. It also stipulates penalties for late payments and what happens if they don't pay rent on time. Number 5, maintain consistency with your lease agreement. If your tenant pays the rent late, enforce your potential penalties. If you are entitled to issue a breach, do so. You can always rescind if you need to. This means you may want to give a tenant notice to vacate on the 15th day that they can be falling behind in their rent. If you become loose with your expectations, this may cause more problems for you than having late rental payments. This may end up in a situation where you're not able to be paid rent at all. Number 6, lease renewals. When sourcing a good tenant, look to renew your lease. However, if the tenant is constantly behind in rent, don't reward them with an extended lease term. Number 7, clear instructions. Make sure your instructions are clear and non-negotiable. Have this in writing over a verbal agreement. Have your property manager go over the lease agreement before they move in so they understand exactly the instructions you've given. And finally, number 8, like going to a restaurant, no split bills. Avoid multiple rent payments from shared tenants. Having a single payment process will make both people more responsible. Never accept part payments. If a tenant has a split rental agreement, one tenant may be paying on time while the other one isn't. This may cause lots of cash flow issues for the landlord. I hope these tips to stop late rent payments helps you. No one ever wants to have an investment property that's behind in rent, and I'm sure no tenant also wants to be behind in their own rent. If you'd like to learn more about our services and what we can do to help investors buy property, feel free to contact us at www.crestproperty.net.au. Thanks for listening.